Ma'am, you can't leave with her. The school nurse stood in the front office doorway, palm up like a stop sign. My daughter's backpack was already on her shoulders. Her lunchbox swung from my wrist. We were halfway to the exit when my ex-husband's sister stepped out from behind the counter. Kendra, hair perfect, smile soft. A manila folder tucked under her arm like she was picking up dry cleaning. Maisie's fingers dug into my hand. Mom, why is Aunt Kendra here? The nurse glanced at the folder. She's on the authorized pickup list. And there's a note about concerns at home. Concerns! At home. About me. Kendra's voice stayed calm, almost sweet. It's okay, honey. Your dad wants you to be somewhere stable for a bit. Somewhere stable. Like my house was a hazard zone. My throat went tight, but I kept my face still. The second I reacted, they'd call it proof. Call the principal, I said to the nurse. Right now. Kendra's smile didn't move. Lena, don't do this in public. It's bad for Maisie. Everything is always for Maisie when they're stealing her. Mr. Doyle rushed in, tie crooked, breathless. He led us into his office, and Kendra slid paperwork across his desk the moment the door shut. Temporary guardianship, she said. Granted this morning. Notarized. I stared until the words stopped looking like English. Guardianship? Over my child? Kendra shrugged like I'd asked the weather. Grant petitioned. Emergency, the judge approved. My ears rang. Emergency meant I never got notified. Emergency meant they got to tell their story first. Maisie made a tiny sound. I looked down. Her eyes were wet, but she was holding it in like she didn't want to get anyone in trouble. That's my kid trying to be easy so adults don't explode. I crouched. Hey, look at me. I held her cheeks. You stay with me. Okay? She whispered. I don't want to go. I stood and faced Kendra. You're not taking her, Kendra sighed. You're proving our point. That's when I got it. They didn't just want custody. They wanted a scene, a meltdown, something they could record, screenshot, replay. Unstable mother causes disruption at school. Patricia Weller would print that headline and frame it. I pulled out my phone and snapped photos of the document, signature, stamp, date, all of it. Kendra's tone sharpened. Stop. That's private. Try stopping me, I said. Mr. Doyle called district legal on speaker. A flat voice asked, Do you have an emergency protective order? Kendra blinked. It's implied. Implied isn't an order, the lawyer said. Do not release the child. Air rushed back into my lungs. Maisie's grip loosened, just a little. Kendra gathered her folder slowly, like she was leaving by choice. At the door, she leaned close enough that only I could hear. You can't outlast us, she whispered. We have resources. You have feelings. Then she looked at Maisie and added louder, Sweetie, I'll see you soon. Either way. When she left, the nurse wouldn't meet my eyes. Mr. Doyle handed me a cup of water like I might faint. I didn't drink. My mouth tasted like pennies. On the drive home, Maisie stayed quiet in the back seat, staring out the window like she'd aged 10 years in an hour. I kept both hands on the wheel because if I let go, I'd fall apart. At a red light, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, I answered, because fear makes you reckless. Grant's voice, casual. Hey, I didn't say hi. What did you file? He sighed. Don't get dramatic. It's temporary. You sent your sister to my kid's school, I said. You tried to take her. We're trying to help, he replied. Mom thinks Maisie needs structure. There it was. Patricia Weller, Grant's mother. The woman who smiles in church and weaponizes paperwork on weekdays. You don't get to rewrite my life, I said. Grant's voice went colder. If you fight, it gets messy. People start asking questions about your job, about your stability. Is that a threat? It's a reality, he said. Just agree to a few weeks. Let her settle at Mom's. We'll keep it smooth. Smooth. Like they were moving furniture, not a child. I hung up before my hands started shaking too visibly. That night, after Maisie fell asleep clutching her stuffed fox, I pulled a shoebox from the back of my closet. Receipts I'd saved without admitting why. Canceled visits, unpaid support, voicemails from Patricia calling me unstable, texts from Grant disappearing for weeks. I also found something newer, a screenshot of a group text I'd accidentally been included in last month. Patricia, Kendra, and Grant. One line from Patricia made my skin crawl. Once she's off payroll, the judge will see what's best. Off payroll? They didn't just want Maisie, they wanted me too broke to fight. Before I even closed the shoebox, I pulled out my original custody order from the divorce and read it like a prayer. Joint legal, primary physical with me. Grant had weekends that he rarely used. It was black and white, which meant Patricia didn't care about facts, she cared about momentum. If she could create a temporary arrangement, she could sell it as a new normal. I also realized something else. The school still had Kendra on the pickup list because Grant asked me, years ago, to keep it flexible. Back then, I wanted peace. I wanted Maisie to have family. I checked the box and moved on. Tonight, that little checkbox felt like a loaded gun. I opened my email and started a folder called Weller Interference. Every message got saved. Every voicemail got downloaded. Every screenshot got duplicated to cloud storage. If they were going to weaponize paperwork, I was going to drown them in it. Around 1:30 a.m., I opened my bank app and did the kind of math that only single parents do. How many groceries equals 1 hour of legal work? I hated myself for thinking that way, but Patricia's whole plan depended on it. If I panicked about money, if I missed work, if I snapped at school staff, she'd call it proof. She didn't need me to be a bad mother. She needed me to look like one on a bad day. I set 3 alarms for the morning, wrote "Keep calm" on a sticky note, and taped it to my dashboard like a superstition. Then, at 2:07 a.m., an email from the school hit my phone. Subject: Enrollment Status Update. First line: Per request from authorized guardian. I read the email until my eyes burned. Withdrawal initiated. New address. Emergency contacts changed. My name moved to secondary like I was optional. They weren't just grabbing Maisie. They were erasing me on paper. I called Patricia. She answered too fast, like she'd been staring at her screen waiting for me to break. "Lena," she said warmly, like we shared recipes. "I'm glad you reached out." "Did you withdraw my child from school?" I asked. A sigh. "Sweetheart, don't start like that. We're making a plan." "You don't get to make plans for my daughter." Patricia's voice stayed calm. "Grant is her father, and you're struggling." "I'm parenting," I snapped. "You're surviving," she corrected. "Maisie deserves better than survival." Then she added the quiet part. So smooth I almost missed it. "And she deserves the benefits her grandfather left her." My stomach turned. Grant's dad had died a few years ago. There had been talk of a family trust, education, health, future grandchildren. I never saw documents. I was married in, then pushed out. But Patricia loved that money like it was scripture. "You're doing this for money?" I said. Patricia chuckled. "For legacy. Different word, same responsibility." I hung up and drove to the school before sunrise, still in pajamas and a jacket. In the registrar's office, I slammed my custody order on the table. "Stop the withdrawal." The registrar frowned. It was submitted by an authorized guardian. "Based on lies," I said. "And you can't change records without notifying both legal parents." She hesitated, then admitted. Kendra also emailed a letter from a family therapist stating Maisie is anxious at home. I stared. What therapist? The registrar looked uncomfortable. It's on letterhead. It seemed official. Official, like a signature makes something true. Marisol came through my speakerphone, sharp and clear. This is attorney Marisol Chen. Preserve all records related to this attempted withdrawal, including emails, attachments, and timestamps. Do not release the child to anyone but Miss Harper. The registrar went pale. Yes, ma'am. In my car, I called Marisol privately. How did they get an emergency order? Ex parte petition, she said. They claimed immediate risk, so you weren't notified. What risk? Marisol paused. They're claiming a neighbor reported you left Maisie alone last Saturday. My stomach flipped. That never happened. I believe you, she said. But we need proof. Anything time-stamped. I had it. Grocery delivery receipt. A FaceTime call with my friend Tasha. My porch camera clip of Maisie blowing bubbles while I took out trash. Marisol exhaled. Good. Hearing is Monday morning. We go in clean. No scenes. Marisol had me forward the therapist letter. She ran the name through the state licensing database while I sat in my car gripping the steering wheel. Not licensed, she said. Not under that name. And the letterhead address is a rented mailbox. My skin went cold. So it's fake. It's a prop, she replied. They're stacking props. She also told me to request the guardianship petition from the court clerk. When I got it, the notary signature looked familiar in a way that made my stomach twist. The surname matched Kendra's boyfriend, the one who always bragged about being a consultant and never had a real job. A week ago, I would have called that a coincidence. Now, coincidence felt like a luxury. That weekend felt like waiting for a storm you can't outrun. I tried to keep Maisie's life normal. Pancakes, homework, a silly movie. But she kept asking little questions that stabbed me in the ribs. Is Aunt Kendra mad at you? Why does Grandma Patricia say our house is sad? Do judges take kids away? Every time she asked, I had to swallow my panic and answer like a normal mother, not a woman whose life was being attacked by certified mail and notarized lies. Sunday afternoon, Maisie asked if she could pack her favorite things just in case. She started piling tiny treasures on her bed. Her fox, a glitter notebook, a rock she swore was lucky. Watching her prepare for being taken felt like swallowing glass. I made a game out of it so she wouldn't see my face. Okay, I said, but only 5 items. Spies travel light. She giggled, and I smiled, and my stomach stayed knotted. Sunday evening, I checked my phone and saw Kendra had posted on Facebook. She never posted about Maisie, not once. Now she posted a photo of a child's bedroom, pink, perfect, brand new furniture. Caption, preparing a safe space for someone who deserves peace. Number family first. The comments were full of hearts and praying, and you're such a blessing. I felt sick. They were building a public story so any judge who Googled them would see angels, not predators. That night, I dug through my shoebox and found a voicemail from Patricia, dated 3 years back, right after my divorce. You're emotional, Lena, her voice purred. If you ever slip, even once, I'll make sure Maisie is raised properly. I stared at the phone in my dark kitchen. Patricia didn't react. She planned. Before bed, Maisie crawled into my lap and whispered, Mom, promise you won't let them take me. I kissed her forehead. I promise I'll fight. She nodded, satisfied, like promises are armor. Monday came fast, and the courthouse didn't feel like justice. It felt like a place people rent to hurt each other politely. Before I walked in, I looked at my reflection in the bathroom mirror and told myself one thing. Don't give them tears. Give them facts. And if you're still listening, hit like and subscribe, because the thing Patricia did next wasn't just about custody. She tried to take away the only tool I had to fight, my paycheck. Marisol met me at security in a Navy suit that made her look unbothered by war. You ready? No. Perfect, she said. Just don't show it. Outside courtroom 4B, Grant stood with his lawyer like a man playing a role. Patricia sat beside him, pearls at 8 a.m., tissue ready. Kendra leaned against the wall, scrolling, bored. Patricia approached me with open arms. I'm praying for you, she said loudly. Marisol stepped between us. No contact. Speak to counsel. Patricia's smile tightened. We're family. Family, to her, meant ownership. Inside, Judge Halverson flipped through the file with tired eyes. Review of ex parte guardianship, she said. Allegations of neglect. Grant's lawyer stood. A neighbor reported the child left alone for hours Saturday evening. The family acted out of caution. Marisol didn't argue. She waited. Then she slid our evidence forward. Receipts, timestamps, camera clip. Judge Halverson watched the video of Maisie chasing Bubbles in my yard at 9:12 p.m. Her gaze shifted to Grant's lawyer. This undermines your emergency claim. Do you have a CPS report? He hesitated. A call was placed. That's not a report, the judge snapped. She dissolved the guardianship order immediately. Relief hit me so hard my knees went weak. Then the judge added, given the hostility, I'm ordering a custody evaluation and temporary supervised visitation for Mr. Weller. My relief cracked. Evaluations can save kids or bury moms. Grant's lawyer pivoted fast. Your Honor, Miss Harper's stability is questionable. Employment concerns financial misconduct. Judge Halverson held up a hand. File evidence or stop speaking. He nodded too quickly. We can provide documentation. Judge Halverson didn't just dissolve the order. She looked directly at Grant and said, ex parte petitions are for real emergencies. If this was filed to gain advantage, I will remember. Grant nodded like a kid being scolded. But Patricia's expression didn't change. She wasn't afraid of being remembered. She assumed she could outweight any consequence. As we left the courtroom, I noticed something that made my stomach clench. Kendra wasn't just scrolling. She was filming phone, angled, screen dark, camera pointed at me like she wanted a clip of my face breaking. When I stared back, she lowered it and smiled like she'd done nothing. Marisol whispered, good. Let her record. It becomes evidence of harassment if she posts it with a lie. In the hallway, Patricia brushed past me close enough that her perfume stung. She whispered, check your email. My hands shook as I opened my phone. An email from HR. Subject, immediate meeting required allegations received. I clicked it. I'd been accused of stealing from my own company. Marisol's eyes went sharp when she saw my face. They're escalating, she murmured. They want you unstable, unemployed, uninsurable. As we walked out, Grant finally looked at me. His eyes were tired, not sorry. I didn't want it like this, he said, low. I laughed once. You never want anything, Grant. That's your whole problem. His jaw tightened. Mom says you'll ruin Maisie. Your mom ruins people as a hobby, I snapped. Kendra called after me in the hallway, sweet voice, audience ready. Lena, we're worried about you. Please don't spiral. Spiral. Another label. Another trap. In the parking lot after court, Marisol made me sit and breathe. They're going to bait you, she said. They'll call you unstable, irresponsible, even unsafe. Your job is to be boring. Boring? I repeated. Boring, she confirmed. Boring wins. Calm wins. Documentation wins. I nodded, but inside I kept replaying Kendra's smile at the school like she'd already planned the next move. I drove straight to work with my stomach in my throat, rehearsing explanations I shouldn't have needed. My hands wouldn't stop sweating on the steering wheel. Halfway there, My phone buzzed again, this time a text from an unknown number. A photo attached. It was Maisie, not current. It was an old photo from when she was 4, sitting on Patricia's lap at Christmas. Caption underneath. She belongs here. My blood went cold, because they weren't just filing motions. They were stalking my mind. HR sat me down like I was already guilty. My manager looked sick. Corporate security looked rehearsed. And Patricia Weller sat in the corner of the room like a guest speaker. I froze in the doorway. What is she doing here? Patricia smiled. I'm concerned. A child is involved. Corporate security slid a printout toward me. We received a report alleging you rerouted vendor payments to a personal account. Your login was used. The screenshot had my name stamped all over it. Bank account number I'd never seen. Transfer confirmation. I didn't do this, I said, voice thin. Patricia's tone turned gentle. Lena, please. Lying won't help you. My manager stared at the table, avoiding my eyes like guilt was contagious. Marisol's voice came through my phone like a blade. Request access logs, not screenshots. Preserve device records. And why is a non-employee present? Corporate security shifted. Miss Weller, you can't be in here. Patricia stood slowly, offended, then looked at me with quiet triumph. If you cooperate, she murmured, we can keep this from getting ugly. Ugly. Meaning, I lose my job, I lose my case. Corporate suspended my access pending investigation. They escorted me out, while coworkers watched like I'd been caught stealing lunch money. On my way to the elevator, I caught Patricia's reflection in the glass, still smiling. In my car, I shook so hard I couldn't start the engine. Marisol called back. They're trying to bankrupt you, she said. If you can't pay rent, they'll argue Maisie needs their resources. I don't even understand how they got into my account, I whispered. We figure it out, she said. But you need to lock down everything. Email, banking, phone plan. That night, I checked my email security settings. 2-factor authentication had been turned off weeks ago. Recovery email changed. Not by me. I called my phone carrier and found my account had been merged onto a family plan months earlier under Grant's name. A mistake, the representative said. A mistake that let someone intercept verification codes. I sent screenshots to Marisol. She didn't hesitate. We file a police report. Now, I whispered, does that make me look dramatic? It makes you look like a parent protecting herself, she snapped. Stop caring how they frame you. The detective at the station took my statement and warned me, digital cases move slow. Slow felt like a sentence. The detective called 2 days later and asked if I'd ever shared passwords with Grant. I wanted to say no, because no sounds smarter. But the truth was ugly. When you're married, you share everything until you forget where you end and they begin. I admitted it. The detective said, that helps. It also means he had opportunity. Then he warned me again, digital subpoenas take time. I hung up and stared at my kitchen wall, thinking, Patricia doesn't need time. She just needs 1 weak moment from me. Meanwhile, Grant's supervised visits started at a family center with cartoon murals and a staffer watching every breath. Grant brought an expensive tablet for Maisie. Like love comes with a charging cable. Maisie asked him one question that made his face pinch. Why didn't you come to my soccer game? He blinked. Work. You always have work, she said, flat and small. Grant tried to hug her. She let him, but her eyes darted to me like she needed permission to have feelings. After the visit, Grant hissed at me near the door, careful to stay quiet. You're turning her against me. She's noticing you, I said. That's not my doing. His voice dropped. This would be easier if you'd just agree to Mom's plan. I stared at him. So you can tell yourself you tried? He flinched. You don't understand what she'll do. I'm watching it, I said. Up close. That worst part was I believed him. Not because he was honest, because Patricia was. That same night, an email from the court-appointed evaluator popped up. Home visit required Friday, 6 p.m., 3 days. To look stable while my job hung by a thread. Then my doorbell camera pinged. Motion on porch. Patricia stood there smiling, holding a casserole. In her other hand, my house keys. I didn't open the door. I spoke through the camera. "Why do you have keys to my house?" Patricia looked up like I was being silly. "Grant gave them to me. I'm here to help." "Leave them and go," I said. Her smile sharpened. "The evaluator is coming Friday. I'm here to make sure the house looks appropriate." Appropriate. Like my home needed her approval to count as safe. I called the police. When the officer arrived, Patricia switched to wounded grandmother mode. "I'm worried about conditions," she sniffed. The officer asked me, "Do you want her trespassed?" "Yes," I said. "And document that she had unauthorized keys." Patricia gasped like I'd slapped her. The officer took the keys anyway. That night, I changed my locks. Every single one. I also bought window alarms, the kind that screech if someone tries to force entry. My hands shook the whole time. But I kept going, because fear doesn't install locks mothers do. Friday, I cleaned until my arms ached. Not because my house was dirty, but because I refused to lose my child over a dusty baseboard. Tasha came to sit with me, a witness and a friend. She looked at my hands and said, "You're bleeding." I hadn't even noticed. I'd scrubbed until my skin split. "Doctor." Celine Parker arrived at 6:02 p.m., clipboard in hand, face neutral. She asked about routines, school, discipline, medical care, bedtime. She asked why Grant's visits had been inconsistent. She asked why his family was suddenly so involved. I answered with dates, not emotions. It felt like turning my life into a spreadsheet. She noticed the new locks. "Recent change?" she asked. "Yes," I said, "because my ex's mother showed up with keys." Her pen moved. Then she spoke with Maisie alone. I sat on the couch, heart pounding, listening to the quiet through the wall like it could decide my future. When Dr. Parker returned, she said, "Maisie reports she feels safe with you." Relief hit me. Then, "She also reports fear of being taken without warning." I nodded. "That happened at school." "Doctor." Parker's eyes sharpened. She described it clearly. The week between hearings felt like living on a tightrope. Every unknown number made my chest jump. Every email notification felt like a trap. Marisol had me keep a daily log wake-up time, drop-off time, meals, homework, doctor calls, everything. "If they say you're chaotic," she told me, "we show them structure in ink." By Thursday, I was exhausted enough to cry in the shower, silently, so Maisie wouldn't hear. Then I stepped out, put on mascara, and smiled like a woman who had never been afraid in her life. After Dr. Parker left, Maisie crawled into my lap and whispered, "Did I answer right?" My throat tightened. There wasn't a right, baby. There was just the truth. The day after the home visit, Maisie brought home a gift bag from school. No teacher note, no class party, just a bag with her name on it. Inside was a fuzzy blanket and a card that said, in Patricia's careful handwriting, "For when you come home, come home." Like my house was temporary foster care. Maisie looked at me, confused. I didn't tell anyone I wanted this. My throat tightened. "You didn't," Tasha whispered. "How did she get that into the school?" I didn't know, but I knew what it meant. Patricia could reach my child, even when she wasn't allowed to. I drove back to the school and demanded they show me the front desk sign-in logs. A volunteer had signed in that morning under the name Pat W. No ID recorded. No badge. My hands shook as I took photos. Not because I was scared of paperwork anymore, because I realized how easy it was for someone charming to bypass rules meant to protect kids. 2 hours later, corporate security emailed. They'd pulled the access logs. My login was used from an IP address tied to a phone registered to Grant Weller. Marisol filed an emergency motion before sunrise. Monday, we were back in court. Judge Halverson stared at the corporate report. "Mr. Weller, did you access Miss Harper's workplace accounts?" Grant's lawyer tried to interrupt. The judge cut him off. Grant's face went pale. He glanced at Patricia. And that glance told me who held the leash. Grant swallowed. "She said it was the only way," he blurted. Patricia's composure cracked. "Grant," Judge Halverson's voice went cold. "Miss Weller, your help is now a problem." Then she turned to Grant. "If you sabotage the custodial parent's employment to influence custody, you are harming your child." The judge paused Grant's visitation pending investigation and issued a no-contact order for Patricia and Kendra. No school, no phone, no drop-bys, no third-party messages. Outside, Patricia leaned close and whispered, furious and smiling at the same time. "You've just proven you're reckless. You brought police into family." I stared at her. "You brought crime into my house." Her eyes flashed. "Careful. You don't know what else is missing." That night, I checked my closet. My shoebox of receipts was gone. I tore the house apart without waking Maisie. Closet, pantry, under the bed, nothing. Someone had been inside, even with new locks. Then my eyes landed on the tablet Grant had given Maisie. It sat on my counter like a harmless gift. I flipped it over. A sticker. Device managed by Weller family account. My stomach turned. A present that could listen. Track. Watch. Marisol answered my call at 1:01 p.m., like she'd been waiting. "Power it off. Put it somewhere it can't transmit," she said. I wrapped it in a towel and locked it in my trunk like it was evidence. Because it was. The next morning, I saw pry marks on my back door frame. They didn't need a key. They just needed nerve. I installed indoor cameras that day. Shaky, but mine. Maisie thought it was a game. "Are we spies?" "We're safe," I told her. At 2:38 a.m., the camera pinged. Patricia's face appeared at my window, pressed close to the glass, smiling like she wanted me to know she could still reach me. Not to get in, to make me sleep less, to make me crack. Marisol filed for contempt with the footage. Judge Halverson extended the no-contact order and ordered Patricia to surrender any property taken from my home. Patricia, of course, surrendered nothing. Then Dr. Parker called me. "I observed Mr. Weller," she said. He arrived with his mother's attorney. They tried to coach Maisie. My jaw clenched. "She's barred." "She wasn't there physically," Dr. Parker said, "but she was there. And Mr. Weller said something that concerns me. He said, if Lena doesn't cooperate, Mom will tell the judge about the accident." The accident. 2 years ago, Grant drove a rented moving truck after drinking. We hit a mailbox. No one hurt. He begged me not to report it. Patricia saved it anyway as leverage, like she saves everything. I told Dr. Parker. Her voice softened. "That helps explain the coercion," she said. "He's frightened of her." A week later, the detective called back. The recovery email on my work account had been changed using a number linked to Patricia's church office, not Grant's. Patricia did it herself, then used her son as a shield. That same day, Marisol forwarded me something the court clerk had accidentally copied her on. A draft motion from Grant's lawyer, requesting control of the child's trust distributions if custody shifted. So yes, it was about money. A day before the final hearing, Patricia's lawyer emailed Marisol a settlement offer. It was wrapped in polite language. Grant gets primary custody. I get generous visitation, and in exchange, I sign an NDA and release all claims. At the bottom, a paragraph about the trust, how distributions would be efficiently managed if Maisie lived with them. Marisol forwarded it to me with one line. "This is the motive," in writing. I wanted to rage, but I couldn't afford rage. Rage makes you sloppy. So I did the least dramatic thing possible. I opened my cloud storage and checked the folder I'd been building since the school incident. They stole my shoebox, but I'd already backed up the most important pieces: audio files, screenshots, PDFs, the old voicemail where Patricia promised to take Maisie the first time I slipped. When Marisol said, "Do we have proof?" I could finally say, "Yes," without shaking. The night before the final hearing, Grant called me from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer. When I did, his voice sounded raw. "I'm not a bad dad," he said. I stared at the ceiling. "You're a missing one," he swallowed. "She scares me." "Your mother scares me too," I said. "The difference is I didn't hand her my child." A long pause. Then he whispered, "If I testify, she'll destroy me." I answered honestly. "She's already destroying you. You're just helping." He didn't respond. He just breathed, like he was realizing the cage he lived in had a name. Final hearing. June, Friday morning. Marisol laid it all out. The school attempt, the withdrawal, the false neglect claim, the therapist letter that didn't match any real licensing registry, the workplace sabotage logs, the phone plan mistake, the trespass incident, the pry marks, the night footage, the evaluator's report about coaching, and the trust motion draft. Grant took the stand and finally said the quiet truth out loud. "My mom told me if I didn't help, she'd cut me off. She said I'd never see my daughter again unless I did what she wanted." Judge Halverson's face didn't soften. "Then you chose your mother over your child," she said. "And now you'll earn your way back." She ruled. "Maisie stays with me. Sole legal custody to me due to documented interference. Grant gets supervised visitation with strict conditions and counseling. Patricia and Kendra. No contact, no school access, no third-party help." I didn't cry in court. I waited until the car door shut. Then I let the tears come, messy and quiet, because my child was safe. That night, I took Maisie for ice cream. She asked, "So I don't have to go with Aunt Kendra?" "No," I said. "You don't!" She nodded like she could finally unclench. On the drive home, she asked, "Why did Grandma Patricia want me?" I swallowed. "Because some adults confuse love with ownership." Maisie frowned. "That's weird." "Yeah," I said. "It is." Even after the ruling, I kept expecting another envelope, another concern, another smile that meant danger. Trauma doesn't stop when a judge speaks. It fades slowly, the way a bruise turns yellow before it disappears. And now I'm asking you because families love to call this private until it's your kid. If someone uses courts, schools, and jobs to take a child they didn't raise, does family excuse it? Would you forgive a father who let his mother control him? Or cut them off for good? Comment what you do, and share this with someone who thinks custody battles are just adult drama because for moms like me, it's survival.